Hi, I am Mr. Crocker. So today will be day 3 of fractions, and today we get into equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are equal, okay? So we can relate this to money. If you think about change for $1, right? That could be 100 pennies. It could also be 10 dimes or 20 nickels or 4 quarters. Those are different ways of having $1, or it could be $1 bill, right? Those 100 pennies, 20 nickels, 10 dimes, 4 quarters, $1 bill. Those are all worth the same amount of money. They all have the same value. And those are like equivalent fractions. Okay, they're actually equivalent decimals, but it's the same concept. So with equivalent fractions, we're going to find that when we have denominators, okay, denominators that are multiples, sometimes not, but usually multiples, that there will be ways to have equal fractions. So let me show you what I mean here. If I have 1/2, okay, 1/2, and I draw that, okay, 1/2. You know, you could say that that's half of that circle. You could say that it's 50%. Okay. If I go over here to fourths, so I'm going to draw another circle. I'm going to draw fourths. If we thought of this as pizza, right? This guy eats this much pizza. Well, if the guy next to him eats that much pizza, that you could say that the two of them have eaten the same amount of pizza. They both ate 50%, half. So 2/4, you can just kind of visually check that and see that it's the same, right? A half is the same as 2/4. And we can go a step further into eighths. So here's my circle, right? Maybe we should look at it this way. Like if I just color in half of that, okay, that's how much is getting eaten if it's a pizza, right? I can continue to divide this thing. Well, now it's 2/4. Did I change the amount of red there? I didn't, right? The red area did not grow or shrink. It's the same. So that sort of proves that 2/4 is the same as a half. Okay. And I could go further. I now have eighths. Did the red area change at all? It stayed the same, right? It stayed the same. It's still 50%. It's still half. I could also call it 2/4, and I can call it 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths. Okay. And this pattern continues. The next one, if I cut all these in half, how many would I have? It's a Dora moment. You ready? That's right. It's 16. Okay. So if I cut them all in half, 16ths. The red area didn't change. So now I have 8/16. So do you see the multiples pattern that I'm talking about? It's doubling, right? It's doubling. So and we might also notice that with halves, like 1 is half of 2, 2 is half of 4, 4 is half of 8, 8 is half of 16. Okay, so that's what equivalent fractions are. They are fractions that, although they have a different number of pieces, they represent the same value. They represent the same value in the same way that 50 pennies represents the same value as 2 quarters or 5 dimes or 10 nickels. Okay, same value, different number of pieces, same value. Okay, so let's show another example here. Let's do Let's do 3. So we'll start with a third. Okay, and we're going to work through the multiples here. Okay, so I can show sixths, and then remember how it was doubling? So I can do twelfths, right? Okay, so first I'm going to draw my third. I messed up. Whoops. Okay, middle. I think I could have actually salvaged that, but this is how I like to draw thirds. The top line has to go down. It doesn't have to be, right? Like if my brain was, that's also thirds. Pretty good, not perfect, but okay. So that's a third. Okay. Now, if I come over here and I want to show the same value, so like if to put this in a percent, like with the halves, we did 50%. This is 33%. Okay. So to put this in the same value, I can do my thirds again, right? I feel like that top piece is getting cheated a little bit. He's getting the smallest piece of pizza. That's not cool. Okay. And I felt like coloring it first made good sense. It's still a third, right? It's a third. Third. I can cut these pieces in half, right? Which means cutting them into 2 even pieces, right? So I'm going to cut. I now have 6 pieces. The red area did not grow or shrink, but now it is not 1 out of 3. Now it is 2 out of 6. Okay. So 1/3 and 2/6 are equivalent fractions. And, visually, I can see that they're both shading that same amount of area. One of my circles is a little bit bigger than the other, but if I was a really good artist, I think it would be very clear. Hopefully it still makes sense. Okay, and we can go again to twelfths. Okay. So I'm going to start with my thirds. My circle is getting continually bigger. Okay, so I've got thirds. Now, I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking 3 times 4 is 12, but I'm just going to go half and half. Okay, so there's my third, right? That's a third. If I cut all of them into 2 even pieces, I now have 6. So this is 2/6. This is where I was on step 2. To go even a step further, if I cut those up, now I have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now instead of 2 out of 6 being red, it's now 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 12. So those are all equivalent fractions. Okay? So those are equivalent. And equivalent fractions just mean fractions that show the same value. So there's going to be one that has bigger pieces, another that has smaller pieces but more colored, and they should represent the same. Okay? So let's look at this one more way. Let's say that I have a rectangle. Okay, so first of all, what fraction would describe this rectangle? Well, we would count the pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 pieces, and that is our denominator. That is the total. Okay. So now let's say that 2 of those pieces are colored. Okay. Shaded. 2 pieces, right? If you share a pizza with me, that's how much you're getting, 2/8. You better be quick, okay? So 2/8. Now, if they ask me to shade the same amount over here, I just have to kind of visually look at it. And so I'm looking at these fourths lines, and I'm kind of bringing that thought over here, and I'm going, okay, if these were fourths, I think it would be about that much. And those 2 pictures show about the same amount of area shaded. So that's what you're really going to be doing, is just kind of visually checking it and saying, yeah, that looks like it's about the same. So this picture is not 2/8. This picture has 1 piece shaded out of a total of 4 pieces, and 2/8 equals 1/4. Yay, equivalent fractions.